Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Air Force and Louisville. The number 1 ranked rushing offense in the country going up against the 20th ranked rushing offense in the country. The First Responder Bowl, guys, is shaping up to be an instant classic, and we are here to break down everything you need to know for this game and, of course, share our official prediction for who will win this slugfest. So again, guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. So glad you could join us. As always, make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, especially those expert picks over on the gridironexpert.com. Go sign up for those today if you haven't already, because listen, if you want the spread pick for this First Responder Bowl, if you want the spread pick for every other college football bowl game, if you want the spread pick for every NFL playoff game, the gridironexpert.com is where you need to go, because not only will you get all of that content there, you're going to win with those picks over there. We've beaten out over 80% of the national analysts this year. We've done it the year before. We did it the year before that. And we're going to keep doing it for every single year to come. And you're only going to get that content. You're only going to get those winnings over at the gridironexpert.com. It's a year-long subscription for one of the lowest prices in the country. So what are you waiting for? Go sign up today. Join our team today. Again, the gridironexpert.com, link down in the description below. So let's talk about this First Responder Bowl, guys. It's going to be a fun one. When I saw this matchup pop up, when all the bowls were being selected, my eyes lit up. Because, you know, if you knew college football, you knew Air Force. They got a great rushing offense, number 1 in the country. And you knew Louisville could run the ball too. You knew this would be a really, really intriguing matchup, really, really fun. If you love just to see the clock run, if you love to see a game that's won in the trenches, this is going to be the game for you. And you look at these two teams, guys, both are coming off very solid years. Air Force, 9-3. 9-3 with quality wins over Boise State, Nevada. They won their final 3 games, and all 3 of their losses were very, very close into quality teams. Lost by 7 to Army, a loss by 6 to San Diego State, and only by 4 to the eventual Mountain West champion in Utah State. Louisville, on the other hand, they barely got into a bowl game, 6-6 under Scott Satterfield, who will be retained. Some Louisville fans like that, some don't. But 6-6 for the Cardinals very well could have been a much different year. 3 of their 6 losses, guys, were decided by 1 possession, including 3 losses by a combined 10 points to Wake Forest, Virginia, and Clemson. The Cardinals have the talent. They had the talent. And they do have the talent to beat Air Force here. The question is, can their rushing attack keep up with the Falcons, and can their rushing defense slow down the Falcons? That is a $1 million question. So we take a look at the offense, guys. We know what's coming for both, but let's take a look at it anyways. Air Force, very solid team. Number 1 rushing offense in the country. Number 1 rushing offense in the country. 341.4 rushing yards per game. 341.4 rushing yards per game, averaging 30.8 points per game on top of that. And, you know, you would expect numbers like that from a military academy. We know Navy, Army, Air Force, they all run that triple option. They all run it extremely well. The key players to watch out for if you're Air Force are, first off, their leading rusher. Who else? Brad Roberts. Guy who's rushed for over 1,200 yards and 13 touchdowns this year. But their quarterback, and Hazik Daniels, has played very well too. 705 yards and 9 touchdowns on the year rushing. And I would say that out of the 3 military academies, you could make the argument that Hazik Daniels is the best quarterback when it comes to airing it out. Him and Christian Anderson certainly are in a battle there between Air Force and Army. But Hazik Daniels, he knows how to run this offense. He knows how to run it well. 9 players have rushed for at least 100 yards on Air Force. They're not short of playmakers, guys. Roberts and Daniels are going to be the top 2 playmakers. Those are going to be the 2 that the Falcons lean on the most. They've got tons of guys behind them that can run that triple option extremely well and make life very difficult for this Cardinals defense. When you look at Louisville, though, they are very balanced. I'll give them that. Very balanced. 31.9 points per game, over 235 passing yards per game, and 211.3 rushing yards per game, which, as we mentioned, ranks 20th in the country. So you're seeing a top 20 showdown when it comes to rushing offenses in this First Responder Bowl. Not many bowl games can say that. Not many bowl games can pride themselves on that. So Air Force and Louisville going to be a lot of fun, a lot of running. But really the entire offense, if you know Louisville, you know their entire offense basically is Malik Cunningham. Malik Cunningham is their offense. Over 2,700 yards to the air, 18 touchdowns for him. But Cunningham is also the leading rusher for the Cardinals with 968 rushing yards and 19 rushing touchdowns, 18 through the air, 19 on the ground, nearly 1,000 yards rushing for a quarterback. Right behind him, though, is their running back in Jalen Mitchell, who's rushed for over 700 yards and 5 touchdowns. And they've got a great tight end, too, in Marshawn Ford, who has 530 reception yards and 2 touchdowns. So that's great. He's the leading reception leader. He's the reception leader right now for Louisville. Here's the problem. First off, we know the offense for Louisville goes as Malik Cunningham goes. And we know that he does have issues with turnovers from time to time. 6 interceptions this year. Has to work on ball security there, but also standing in the pocket, not fumbling. Right? But Cunningham's getting better with that. But the game goes and the offense goes as he goes. Problem is, he's going to be without some of his top pass catchers. He's going to be without Jordan Watkins, who has 529 yards and 4 touchdowns on the year. He's going to be without another wide receiver in Justin Marshall, who has over 300 yards and 1 touchdown on the year. Jordan Watkins is the leading receiver. Remember, Marshawn Ford is the tight end. He's the leading reception guy right now in terms of yardage, but from a wide receiver standpoint, Watkins is number 1. He's out. Marshall's out. Both transferring, opting out, done. That's a problem if you're Louisville in this offense. They've got to find a way to overcome that. Because Air Force can certainly hone in on Cunningham. You take him away, you basically take away the entire offense. And the Cardinals have to come up with something. Because here's the thing. The Falcons' defense is good. They're only allowing 19.1 points per game. And they're only allowing 288.1 total yards per game. Like we always say, if you're a defense allowing 300 yards per game or less, you're doing a phenomenal job. And Air Force is doing just that. The key number that I'm looking at, if I'm Air Force, if I'm anybody looking at this game, is the fact that the Falcons are only allowing 94.8 rushing yards per game. They're allowing less than 100 rushing yards per game on defense. That's insane. That's really, really good. So here's the thing. If they do that, if they can do that, even allow 150 rushing yards, you're doing a really good job. You do that and you force Cunningham to throw. Air Force is looking really, really good because Cunningham's options, his weapons, have been depleted with those losses of those wide receivers. That's the key there. The Falcons are only giving up 193 passing yards per game, so not too bad either. But I will say this, play devil's advocate. The best 2 offenses that Air Force has faced this year will probably be Utah State and Nevada, arguably. Utah State put up 628 yards of offense on the Falcons, including 448 through the air. The Falcons lost that game by 4. The Falcons did beat Nevada 41-39 in triple overtime, but they allowed 351 passing yards. So here's the thing. The secondary can be exploited, right? The secondary can be exploited. Cunningham can win this game through the air. If you have a capable enough quarterback like Nevada did in Carson Strong, like Utah State did in Logan Bonner, Air Force can be exploited easily. And if I'm Scott Satterfield in Louisville, I'm going to say, yeah, we want to run the ball, but we might not have that much success. I mean, Cunningham, you're going to have to throw the ball, and you can do it. Even though we lose some key playmakers, you can do this. So really, if you're Air Force, great, shut down the run. That's priority number 1. You want Cunningham to try to win the game through the air so your secondary can hone in on that. But again, it really comes down to which defense shows up. If the defense against Utah State shows up, this game could be very high scoring. The Falcons are going to be in deep trouble. Deep, deep trouble. But if the defense like the rest of the year shows up, might be okay. That's the million-dollar question here. When you look at Louisville, just like Air Force, their number 1 key is stopping the run. Louisville's number 1 key is stopping the run. When you've got 2 great rushing offenses, the defense is going to try to take away your strength. The strength of both teams is running. But Louisville, the question is, can they? Can they stop the run? That is a million-dollar question here. The Cardinals are allowing 27 points per game and 156.7 rushing yards per game. But look at some key numbers here. The season finale against Kentucky, they got blown out by their in-state rival. Allowed 362 rushing yards to the Wildcats. They allowed 183 rushing yards to Duke. They allowed 138 rushing yards to Syracuse, 125 rushing yards to Clemson. Go all the way back to September, they allowed 212 rushing yards to UCF and 188 rushing yards to Ole Miss. They can't stop the run. They are struggling mightily in stopping the run. Now, granted, they've had a lot of time to prep for this game. You know, about a month or so to prep for the triple option attack is key than one team only having 1 week to prep. It's very different. And obviously Air Force's style of running is very different than any team that Louisville has faced all year in their running style. But again, you know Air Force is coming at you with that and teams just can't stop it. So can Louisville finally buck up? Can they step up and stop this Falcons rushing attack? Again, it's averaging over 340 rushing yards per game. So going into this game, guys, it's going to be a fun one. It is going to be fun. It's going to be a game that, again, is won in the trenches. It's going to be a game that's dominated on the ground. Obviously, Air Force owns the rushing edge. Louisville clearly owns the passing edge because they obviously pass it more than Air Force does. But it comes down to defense. It comes down to defense. Which defense can stop the run better, can stop it consistently, just get a few more stops than the other. And here's who I'm going with. I'm going with Air Force. I am going with the Falcons. You've got the number 1 rushing defense in Air Force going up against the 76th ranked rushing defense. Number 1 ranked offense for Air Force going up against Louisville's 76th ranked rushing defense. That right there already isn't a good recipe for success if you're the Cardinals. But factor in this, the fact that Air Force is a disciplined team. Not many mistakes, not many penalties. Very good defensively, for the most part. Underrated defensively. Going up against a Louisville team that clearly has shown to us they can't stop the run. They can't stop it consistently. And when you face these military academies, you're not going to have many opportunities on offense. Because Air Force, Army, Navy, but in this scenario, Air Force, they know how to control the clock. They can take the ball and hold on to it for 9 minutes. And that just wears down a defense. And if your offense goes out there and goes 3 and out and you put your defense right back out there and they know they can't stop that run and Air Force just continues to run it down Louisville's throat, the Cardinals are going to crack. They're going to cave. The Cardinals' opportunities offensively will be limited. They will not have many. Air Force will make sure of that. As long as the Falcons come away with points on their long drives, I believe they win this game. And I know that sounds kind of bland, right? But you take 9 minutes and get a touchdown. Louisville goes 3 and out. You get the right ball right back. They go down there and get a field goal. It's 10-0. It's very hard to come from behind against these military academies, against these triple option teams, because, again, your opportunities in offense are very few and far between. So I believe Air Force controls the clock. I believe they get enough stops defensively. They shut down Malik Cunningham, and that number 1 rushing offense goes to work in the First Responder Bowl, and the Falcons clinch a 10-win season with a quality win over the Louisville Cardinals. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and yes, check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks over on the gridironexpert.com. We are going to have so many college football bowl spread picks there for you guys for the remainder of this bowl season, and same for the NFL. Again, it's a year-long subscription. You buy now, you've got all of 2022 as well, so make sure to sign up for that today. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.